Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm your host Kevin. We're discussing my life with Tourette's. So, in this one, I want to go over, the uncomfortableness and the comfortableness of having Tourette's. Like being in a situation where you're uncomfortable compared to being in situations where you're comfortable, and like the difference in the two on how it helps and doesn't help your Tourette's. So, to start out, the uncomfortableness, like being around somebody that makes you feel uncomfortable or uneasy with your Tourette, that's a bad, for me, I find that that's a bad situation because, okay, let's say I'm twitching or whoever out there's watching, listening that might have Tourette's. If you're twitching and you got someone that's staring at you or making your remarks, whatever, that's really going to flare it up because that's going to bring up the anxiety. It's going to bring up the stress, the excitement in it, and anybody that has Tourette's or somebody that has Tourette's really good knows anxiety and stress are like one of the two big ones, especially for me, because if I got to feel uncomfortable around you while I'm twitching, well, now I'm like stressing, like, what is this person thinking? What is this person gonna say? My anxiety and my stress are just gonna flare up. And with Tourette's, I think like that's the last thing you want is to be stressed and anxious in any situation. Because bad enough, I'm gonna twitch, I'm gonna, make my noises or twitch my head or jerk my body. So, you know, for me to feel uncomfortable around you just doesn't help the situation whatsoever. So I find instead of making us with Tourette's feel uncomfortable, I think it would be better to ask your questions. If you see whether it be a student in school, whether it be a coworker, at your job, instead of constantly making us feel uncomfortable because you're like staring or you're making your remarks that you don't need to be making. How about you ask, get educated through me on what it is I'm doing, so when I do it in the future it's not as uncomfortable as the situation. I can feel more comfortable around you because let's go to the feeling comfortable. If I feel comfortable around somebody, and I think anybody with Tourette's kind of feel the same way, maybe. I know I feel this way. If I can feel comfortable around you, when my tick episodes do happen, they're not going to be as strong and, you know, as intense as they would be if I didn't feel comfortable around you. Because if I feel uncomfortable around you, or I'm like nervous or stressed out that you might say something if I tick, or look at me funny if I tick, then I'm going to try to suppress them for as long as I can. But it's like I say, and I've heard other people say, it's like holding in a sneeze. You can only hold it in for so long, and then it's just going to explode. And when it explodes, because you're trying to suppress it and hold it in, well, then it's just horrible. Because now I'm just going to let out and let out and let out until I can't let out no more. And you making me feel uncomfortable is meaning you're going to stare at me. You're going to be like, why are you doing that? What is going on? This, that, and the other. So, making somebody feel comfortable who has Tourette's is a big relief for people who have Tourette's. Me in particular, and I'm sure other people out there that have it will probably say the same thing. So, you know, now let's go into making somebody feel comfortable with Tourette's or talking about, the comfortableness in having Tourette's. Me being comfortable around you with Tourette's will make me letting out my ticks a lot easier because I'll be able to let them out and then be done with it and move on. I'm not even attempting to try to hold them in, because I know if I let it out next to you, in front of you, around you, that it's going to be okay. You know, because I brought it up before, like safe places. You know, being around my fiance, being around my kids, being around all my family members, or, my best friends that have it, that know I have it. Like being around all those people, that's me being comfortable. So I'm going to let out and then be done. I'm not going to just be flaring up, letting out left and right, because I've been trying to hold them in so I don't feel uncomfortable around you, too much. Because at the end of the day, if I could feel comfortable with my Tourette's around you, it's going to make my Tourette's a little less. It's going to make my Tourette's easier. It's going to make my Tourette's, just as a whole, my Tourette's won't be as bad as if I'm in an uncomfortable place, you know, comfortable situation. So, I was watching this thing and it's like, how should schools deal with kids with Tourette's? And, one thing I saw that was really interesting and really hit home to me, and I think is a big thing, is not making that kid feel like the center of attention. One of the big ones in this little thing I watched was allowing them to excuse themselves, allowing them to get away and go to their own place and let out. Because at the end of the day, someone with Tourette's, we want to feel as comfortable as we possibly can. And as long as human society can allow that as much as possible, having Tourette's not be as hard. Unfortunately, in society today, it's not always the case. But if we could try our best to make us as people with Tourette's feel comfortable, I think it'll go a long ways. So, mainly, just want to cover, instead of making someone with Tourette's feel uncomfortable, let's work in a way to make them feel comfortable. Because at the end of the day, nobody should feel uncomfortable with Tourette's. Because we're just another human being. We're just another kid. We're just another adult. We are who we are, just like you are who you are. So the more we can feel comfortable, the better it is for us. And I think the better it is for everybody around us. So, till next time.